everybody hear me? In the back, can everybody hear me? All right. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just one little note before we do roll call tonight. Normally we live stream our council meetings from the council chambers, but we don't have that technology here. So we did invite JOW Films and Andrew down, who used to do the council meetings before we got our new equipment, to make sure that it's recorded so that everybody can view it later on. We just won't be live streamed this evening. Just want everybody to know that before we start. Okay, when the clerk is available, let's do the roll call.
Councilwoman Nellie Garthwaite.
Nellie Garthwaite, Council at Large, present.
Councilman Brian Locks is absent. Councilwoman Ann Heffernan.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan, First District, present.
Councilwoman Ruby Melton.
Councilwoman Ruby Melton, Second District, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Affarelli.
Councilwoman Sarah Accarelli, Third District, present.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, Fourth District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan.
Councilman Edward McMillan, Fifth District, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan, Sixth District, present.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker, Seventh District, present.
Councilman Christopher Vargo.
Councilman Christopher Vargo, Eighth District, present.
Councilwoman Katie Muller.
Councilwoman Katie Muller, Ninth District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Chairman Nicholas Pascal, present.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. When you're ready, can you read the call of the special meeting for this evening?
West Haven City Council, legal notice agenda, special meeting, public hearing of the Finance Committee, Council as a whole. In accordance with the City Charter, Chapter 19, Section 4, the City Council of the City of West Haven will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at the West Haven High School, 1 McDonough Plaza, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516, at which time any elector or taxpayer may have an opportunity to be heard regarding appropriations for fiscal year July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Electors are also hereby notified of the right and power of the electorate with regard to a referendum in accordance with the City Charter, Chapter 18. Mayor Dorinda Boer's recommended budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 in its entirety can be found on the Cities of West Haven's website, www.cityofwesthaven.com.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will hand the meeting over to Finance Chairwoman Accarelli.
Thank you, Chairman. First up, for our public hearing, we have Mayor Dorinda Boer. She will be presenting her budget.
I feel like I don't want to have my back to the audience. Can I shift this a little bit? Is that, Andrew? Is that going to mess you up? I could do it this way.
It's all right. I just want to make sure this doesn't fall.
Just,
No problem.
there you are. Thank you. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We want to hear from you. This is the public hearing where you have the opportunity to provide your input and share your ideas. We have a lot of informed and passionate residents in our city, and we welcome your creative input. Trust me, I get ideas when I'm out and or I get emails, and we definitely use all of the input that we get from you, so thank you. I also want to take a quick moment to thank the council for hosting the public hearing and for all the work that you do. I know we've been accomplishing a lot, and a lot of time it's me out there getting the credit, but I couldn't have done all of that without you because you have all been working very hard, very professional and thoughtful, so thank you. And while this is a public input tonight, Chairman Pascal asked that I run through some of the highlights and thought process related to this budget. I put together a letter to The Voice, which also had a budget, the budget in there. We did a presentation 2 weeks ago at a council meeting, and then we also have our budget online, and we have last year's budget online as well for you to see comparisons. So Let me just speak to how far we've come recently, because you need to know where you are before you create a roadmap for the future. I'm going to flash back to when we started, which, believe it or not, hasn't even been a year and a half, although it may seem a little longer to some of us, especially me. But when our team came on board, the city had challenges with the finances, to say the least, and we are in state oversight in Tier 4, the strongest state oversight. When we came on board, we were behind in 2 audits, 2022 and 2023, and we were required to deliver those audits. So in 2024, we needed to deliver audit 2022, audit for the year 2023, and the audit for the year 2024. We not only had to deliver it, but we had to deliver them timely, and we did it, stopping the tradition of being behind in our audits. The December 2024 report from our independent auditors said that we demonstrated that we improved our internal controls, our governance, our transparency, our communication, restructured much of the way we do business, built a strong fund balance, and paid down a good portion of our debt. Most importantly, we cleared all material weaknesses. Much of that we cleared is what originally caused us to be in state oversight in the first place. We did this together with a very strong financial team that we have in place. These efforts earned the city 3 credit rating upgrades this past year, 2 from Standard & Poor's and 1 from Moody's, and we are now investment grade. Also related to finances is that we were able to dust off the $1 million insurance claim that was written off and recreate it and submit it and work with Hartford and receive the $1 million that we thought was long lost. Those funds went straight to our bottom line this year. Our finances as we stand today, we will be ending with a $2 million surplus, and this year it's building our fund balance, our rainy day fund, to an unprecedented $21 million, which we will get back to later. But it's not just the finances we've accomplished together. We have long stalled projects off the ground, such as finalizing Beach Street road improvements, opening the road, and creating a gateway for now ripe for development. We secured a lease to attract a top restaurant group to the Savin Rock Conference Center, which is a building that has been an eyesore and has sat vacant for 8 years. We helped to fast track and provide incentives to the now soon-to-be opened Riva on Beach Street. We facilitated the sale of the dilapidated Debonair by bringing the sellers and the buyers together and helping to move that along, and it's slated to be demolished within a few months. We found a buyer for Stiles School. We just announced last week the sale of North End Field to UNH for $500,000, a field which has been a drain on our resources we will get revenue for, and although UNH is a non-taxable entity, we get 66 cents on the dollar for that property. We also secured and have put to use $10 million in grants, $2 million to upgrade our boardwalk and our beaches, $1.7 million to transform Malloy School into a community center for our seniors, our veterans, and our youth, $800,000 for a coastal resiliency program. Oh, did you hear all the rest? Okay. Where was I? $800,000 for coastal resiliency, $1.8 million to upgrade the neighborhoods around the VA, and we finally repurposed the state grant to renovate the Masonic Temple. But we worked on quality of life as well. We invested $2 million in public safety, including citywide cameras, a new communication system for our police officers, and we provided updated, outdated equipment for our fire department in Allentown. We invested in our emergency operations facility and our dispatch center. For the first time, we put together an outreach plan and put social workers for mental health out in the field, added youth programs, and opened our first warming center for our unhoused. These are just a few examples of how our efforts are paying off, but please be sure that we are making small improvements every single day, including the work we are doing to give the city a much-needed facelift and some positive vibes right down to our marketing campaigns. So that's our recap of where we stand, but where are we going? I believe the 2026 budget before you is a responsible budget that makes investments we are required to make and catch up on our debt, makes investments in our infrastructure that was long ignored and is archaic, invests in our education, our public safety, and every critical area that lends to our quality of life. Revaluation aside, which we will get to, this budget has an increase of 2.6%, which is a very modest increase compared to prior years and our neighbors. I'm going to draw your attention to what constitutes that 2.6% increase. If you can turn to page 3. Turn to page 3. So the 2.6% increase in this budget is attributed to 5 components. The first is Board of Education. I'm not going to elaborate extensively because I see Superintendent Cavallaro here and we would just be repetitive in our support for education. The bottom line is the investment in education is critical, but the rising cost of education has been difficult to meet. While the Board of Education asked this year for a $3.4 million increase, I had reduced that to $1.8 million by looking through the line items and identifying areas for savings. The budget does not impact teachers, paras, nurses, staff, custodian, or security, and all the resources needed to provide our students with the state-of-the-art education they all deserve. We already have gaps in our education system with funding due to the high cost of special needs students and the associated transportation costs. This is an issue, if you pick up the newspaper, is a problem for cities across our state with a shortage of funding for our special education. The next category is salaries, which I will get to in the next page in a moment. So sticking with page 3, contributing towards the increase is healthcare. That is a fixed cost. We get that number from the state of Connecticut. Our debt service, that is a fixed cost, and that is dictated much by the MARB of what we need to do to pay down our debt. And then we have our operations, which is the $464,000. Our operations increase because of the rising costs, but to mitigate those increases, we have taken a number of steps to be more efficient in our operations, including negotiating better energy contracts, performing energy audits, and installing solar farms across our city. We have been updating our workflow to put more systems online, which saves staffing time and rededicates their resources. I recently installed GPS on all city vehicles, not just Public Works, but all city vehicles. I actually have an app on my phone that pings me whenever, right down to the idling time. If they idle over 10 minutes, I get an alert. If they're at a stop long time, I get an alert, and it also monitors speeding as well. We renegotiated all of our leases. There were no leases in place for the facilities that we are paying for various goods and services. We put 94 contracts out to bid because competitive prices were not previously shopped. We updated our snow removal strategy, and we reorganized our compost facility. We have so much work to do in the city, and everything costs a lot of money. Faulty electrical, $200,000. Rotted light poles on the boardwalk, $220,000. Sewer lines that go nowhere, $400,000. Any given day, $200,000 unexpected cost pops up. It's like whack-a-mole, but we're doing it. Now I'm going to turn to the attention of page 4, with salaries. Now I speak a little bit about this because I know salaries is always, low-hanging fruit and ripe for the picking, but I believe we need to have qualified people in place to deliver results, and that's what we have been doing. This page demonstrates contractual obligations. 98.5% of the salary increases at the city are contractual. Overall, no union employee has received more than 2.5% increase for the work that they do for us. That's our police officers, our firefighters, our dispatchers, our plowers, the park maintenance, our camp workers, our finance team, IT, our sewer folks who go in the sewer every single day for us, our IT, elderly youth, and so much more. While these contracts were negotiated by the prior administration, I just want to make it clear that I support these raises. There are also about 10 employees who work for the city who do not have benefits through the union, but historically receive a cost of living wage. And then you will see a handful of increases for positions that we have not been able to fill, and I needed to make salaries more attractive so we can fill them. And I'm going to give Public Works as an example. I have gone a year without a Public Works director. We increased the salary. I brought together a panel of Public Works directors from across the state, a recruiter, but for the salary and our complications in our city, we didn't have anybody wanting to come. So while I appreciate that a lot of the Public Works folks have stepped up, especially our deputy, a lot of that falls to me to help manage our Public Works department. We needed to increase that salary so that we could get somebody qualified. The state is requiring us to have somebody who has significant experience in wastewater. It's hard to find somebody with that experience for the salary we were paying. To give you an example, I released this budget with the increase in the salary. In a week, I got 3 candidates, very qualified, and last night I made an offer, and we are finally going to have a Public Works director. Nobody's happier than me for that. You might see other raises in there. For example, the grants writer. I eliminated the grants director position because I take on a lot of the grants director position because that's, what I did at the state. But in order to eliminate that position, the grants writer picks up some of those administrative responsibilities. So we negotiate a small increase for that person. All of these increases are very explainable and I believe justifiable. After a year of being in office, you get a sense of what's working and what you need to restructure. Staffing structure. I also want to point out here that I added a few new positions, but also eliminated positions to make up for part of that restructure that I think we need. After a year, I can better see where we have gaps and where we can pick up other employee duties. All of this restructuring was done without any increase to the number of employees for the city. The only positions that I added in this budget were a chief operations officer because we need someone to manage our IT. The city experienced another breach. We need someone to manage our online upgrades, our utilities, our leases, and our capital projects. I eliminated 2 other positions in order to create this one. There are 2 people currently managing the city. That's me and my chief of staff, Rick Spryer, and we need assistance to manage these critical areas. The other positions, I added 2 constables for parking tickets. We have significant issues with beach parking during the summer on our side streets, and then we also have significant issues around UNH during the semesters, and our police officers just do not have the resources to ticket all day. We have 119 police officers right now. We only had 105 in service because of injuries and maternity leave. So they're stretched thin already, so these part-time constables are going to help with that problem that we've long had. The other position I added was a part-time receptionist at the animal control facility. The position was not added because of our love for animals, although we do love animals. We do. It was added because animal control falls under our police department, and our ACO officers are spending their time taking phone calls, taking applications, and answering inquiries. That's not a good use of their time. A part-time receptionist is well worth the money. Again, all of these positions were made without adding any more to the bottom line. Now let's turn to revaluation. And this is where the rubber hits the road this year. So let me explain, revaluation is a state mandated process. The philosophy, whether you agree with it or not, is to have cities within a region go at the same time so that the home fair market values are similar. So right now we are in a reval with North Haven, Wallingford, Hamden, Branford, Woodbridge, East Haven, and a few other cities in our region. The process is dictated by the state. We hire a company. We hired a company called Vision Appraisal. They're renowned and they do most cities. And what they use is the fair market value of the home sales in your area, in your neighborhood. It's just as if you were going to buy a house or sell a home. They look at comparables that are like homes. And that's what this modeling does. It's a sophisticated model that looks at not only the home sale prices in your area, but any home improvements, and they also use some other market factor indicators. The main driver, so the average home sales in West Haven increased by 56% since the last revaluation, which was 4 years ago. So if there was a home sale that was extraordinary near you, some of you experienced a 65, a 70% increase in a home value. And then there were some that were lower as well. So in order to, because our grand list grew, and because of our operational budget, which we're keeping in check, we were able to reduce the mills by 11 mills. So you may ask, well, if we went up 56%, how come we couldn't lower the mill rate by 56%? How come we couldn't lower the budget by 56%? It would be impossible to cut our budget by 56%. Those are whole departments, and a lot of the departments I just mentioned, we would start to cut into safety and education, and a lot of the service departments would start to be impacted. The other issue that we have in West Haven is there weren't a lot of commercial sales that had high values that inflated the commercial assessments. So a lot of it went on residential property because those are the homes skyrocketed in sales. A lot of the homes sometimes are going for over $50,000 bid price. We didn't see that in the commercial because we weren't seeing the sales for the past few years. The other issue that we have in West Haven is we fall in the top 20 cities of non-taxable property. We have 2 hospitals. We have a portion of Yale here, and we have the largest veterans health care system in New England here. We do not get any funds from the federal government. We do get pilot money from the state of Connecticut, but it's 66 cents on the dollar. We also have 2 universities here, Yale and the University of New Haven. So the difference, the delta between the assessed value of our non-taxable property versus what this state gives us is a difference of $13 million that we are short. That is one of the complications for revaluation. So, put my kids for a second. Covered that. So given the rise in the grand list with that. So we have a complicated system with reval because we also have our fire districts, which I speak to on another page. So again, if you had a home that maybe was priced at $270,000 4 years ago or 5 years ago before COVID and before we had an influx, and now that home is selling for $485,000, that is what brought our home values up. It's a good thing with our home values going up if you're going to sell or you're going to use that equity. It's not so great if you're staying in your home. Someone like me, 2 homes sold on my street for over $600,000, and I'm on Main Street. I think almost every council person's probably going up as well. So we understand the challenge that reval brings to the table. We are looking for more pilot money from the state of Connecticut. We've had conversations. I see some members of our delegation that are here. We're asking that we get more. We are a designated distressed municipality in the state of Connecticut. There's a certain designation, unfortunately, that we have. But with that comes more funding. So we're continuing to work on increasing that. Finally, I want to turn to the fire districts. Bear with me. Okay. So this page shows us how our taxes are calculated, what a mill rate is, how you come up with the assessments. And I also want to point out that it takes $4 million to drop an additional mill. So as we look for more savings and we look for more revenue drivers, which we will, it takes $4 million to drop 1 more mill on our tax rate. I also want to point out the fire districts. We have a complicated system here in West Haven. We have 3 fire districts. For those of you who are new or may not know, Allentown is the fire district that comes under the auspices of the city. The residents of Allentown voted to do that a few years back. And so we are responsible for putting that budget together. I see our chief and our commissioner here as well. I want to thank you for all the good work that you do, because there's still an independent commission. There's 3 commissioners that manage and govern, but the budget falls to us. So we were actually already able to address the Allentown budget, and because our fire districts were impacted by revaluation as well, because they're governed by a grand list. So they adjust their mill rate accordingly. So in Allentown, the current mill rate is 11.32. We were able to lower it to 8.43, and we have a target of at least 8.0 because we've already found some more savings through conversations. I also included in your package a timeline that shows what the process is so that you could follow along what more has to continue to happen as we work through this budget process. Also of note, speaking of the fire departments, there's going to be 2 separate fire budget public hearings. So Center District on May 6th, they'll be holding their budget hearing. In the case of the independent fire districts, the electors have the ability to vote on that mill rate. So you will see that budget and you will have the ability to vote on that mill rate. The Center District is May 6th and West Shore is May 24th, and they typically put that budget out a week in advance. So you can keep your eyes on that so you can calculate. So when it comes to the mill rate in West Haven, you take the city mill rate and you add in the fire mill rate, and that is our total mill rate. Our total mill rate was one of the highest in the New Haven region, and now we are right there, very comparable. So I hope this gives a good idea of what went into the budget process. I want you to know that I met with every single department head, went through every line item with them. I know the council's going to do the same thing. I also want to mention that I'm required to hand in the budget at a certain point in time. It's very early in the process by charter when I have to hand in that budget. So there's a lot that's at play that continues to happen, and we will continue to make adjustments. For example, the $500,000 from UNH, that was not solidified when I put the budget together. That will go in next year's budget. Seeing the Kelsey pass the planning and zoning the other night meant there was a green light. I did not budget building fees or the revenue from the Kelsey until I know projects are going forward. In the past, there was a practice of putting things that you hoped would come to fruition for revenue in the budget. I'm not going to do that. Until I know things are coming forward, I will then put it in the budget. So there's a lot of things in the works, and over the next couple of weeks, I will be providing the council with all of those changes as we finalize our business negotiations. Oops. I also, I want to mention that I'm very proud of all the work that we've done and our team has done, and I'm very proud of all the residents of West Haven who have been patient while we've made this transformation. Is this a perfect budget? No, it's not a perfect budget, but I think it's very responsible, and I look forward to the work that the council's going to do, and I respect the work that the council's going to do and all the public input. And at the end of the day, whatever the final numbers are, I will live within those numbers, and I will work within those numbers, and I will make it happen for the city of West Haven. So thank you very much.
Did you want to move it or? Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, Mayor Bohr, Chairman Pascal, and the members of the City Council. It is important to begin my remarks this evening by first stating that we are appreciative, and by what all accounts is a very difficult budget year, that the mayor has recommended an increase to the board's budget. While it isn't the amount we had asked for, as I mentioned at an earlier meeting, I know you must balance your request with those of the other departments. Taking into account last year's increase, if this budget's approved, you will have increased the city's share to education by $4 million during your term on the council, and that's a good amount of money. I will remind you, as I've done in the past, however, that prior to last year, the city's contribution had remained flat since 2016. In the interest of full disclosure, and again, I've talked to you about this, we've been fortunate to see amounts of some of our grants increase and have had the benefit of ESSER funds to assist us in managing the needs of the district. Please understand that those entitlements are a result of the city, as the mayor mentioned, as being labeled a distressed one, and as our status as an alliance district. I believe that thanks to our Board of Ed administration and with the support of the board, we've been able to manage those funds well. You should know that the intent of these grants is not to supplant the local share of the budget, but to supplement and provide direct support for a needy population. Frankly, we've done our best to cover increasing costs by getting creative and stretching those rules as far as possible. During my 18 years as superintendent, and with the support of the board, we've done our best to cut expenses and yet still do right by the children of this community. For example, and this is noticeable, 4 school buildings were closed, and the city has since sold 3 of them. Pandemic relief funds were used not only to assist children, but to make capital improvements that we couldn't afford. Our board also recognized that as those funds were winding down, we unfortunately eliminated positions because we had the foresight to understand that ultimately the city couldn't take on that burden. I want you also to realize, since our last meeting and the mayor's formal recommendation to the council, we've worked to identify positions across the board where we can eliminate without hurting any current employee. We will continue this process in a strategic manner right up until the beginning of school in the fall, and we believe there will be no impact to instruction. As I've previously stated, both publicly and privately to several of you, our goal is to work with you as partners. We know your concerns, but we will continue to advocate for high quality education in the city of West Haven. Tonight, and it's going to be very similar to what the mayor said, it is once again important for me to identify what's driving our request for an increase. First and foremost, it's salaries. The previous city council and the current one recognized the value of attracting and retaining quality teachers. Therefore, you supported raises for our staff. These increases didn't make them the highest paid in the area, or even within our reference group. All it did was make us more competitive. It got us back in the game. Frankly, they deserve more, but during negotiations, even the union recognized the challenges we face as a city, and our final agreement was a fair one. Given the statewide shortage of teachers, ours have had countless opportunities to work elsewhere, but their loyalty to this school district and our children are unmatched. The 3 other driving factors that have influenced the bottom line of this request are health benefits, which are the same as the city's, the contractual obligation to Winkle Bus Company, and the out-of-control cost of educating special ed students. Since our initial request, we believe there may be some savings in health benefits, in our health benefits account. And as the mayor said, this is a process that goes on for the next 2 months, and we will adjust, and we will keep our board and we'll keep you guys informed as any way we can adjust our budget. We will continue to communicate with the city's third-party administrator and adjust that accordingly. The bus contract does have an increase for next year, but the benefits of working with a local company like Winkle in the end still saves us money compared to that of a national company. And again, as the mayor said, if you read the newspaper, You know, West Haven is not unique. You can pick up the paper and substitute the name West Haven with just about any neighboring municipality in the state of Connecticut. Special education, transportation, salaries, and benefits. With regards to special education, we are waiting to receive final word on the amount we'll receive through legislation recently passed at the state level, and we will monitor the impact of any savings and how that will impact us going forward. In previous meetings, both Dr. Larry and I have shown you specific examples of the cost to educate a child with special needs. And as you've learned from us, most of the time those expenses are out of this district's control. This is certainly not an issue, again, unique to West Haven, and I can assure you that we're using all of our professional groups to lobby for necessary changes in funding. Tonight, I invite you to help us in this fight, follow the actions of the legislature and the governor, and weigh in when possible. As the mayor did when she crafted a final budget document, now it's your turn to strike the balance between requests of individual departments and, most importantly, what taxpayers can afford. There's no arguing that point. West Haven, as I mentioned, and the mayor mentioned, is labeled as one of the top 10 distressed municipalities in the state, and I would argue that the biggest challenge we face as a city is to get state and federal agencies to recognize this and, in turn, ensure that our students are able to receive the same opportunities of those who live in more fortunate communities. That's certainly another area where we can work together, now and in the future. As one of 33 Alliance school districts in the state of Connecticut, I believe the state must take action and change those funding formulas. I'd like to conclude my remarks this evening by leaving you with a few thoughts. One, we want to work with you on the budget. I hope I've made that clear during my remarks. Two, we can operate effectively with the mayor's proposal. However, further cuts would have a negative impact. Three, we strongly believe that over the years, our board has taken measures to live within our means and operate efficiently. Going forward, we are open to more suggestions, but again, in my time, we've always operated a balanced budget, and I think have done our share given the city's troubles and limitations. Four, and finally, unless there are long-term changes made, again, most of which are out of your control, next year we'll be having the same discussions regarding salaries, benefits, transportation, and education. Over the next several days and weeks, I look forward to continuing our conversations and hopefully work with you on changing a broken system. Remember, there is no other factor in determining a town's quality of life than a strong education system. Thank you for your time this evening.
Kevin wanted to say.
Yep, that's okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kevin Waterfield, the Board of Ed Chairwoman.
Thank you, Councilman Borali. I'm not going to repeat everything Neil said. Bob Guthrie and I came in to stand with Neil in support of his very well-written speech that he gave to you all. Families move into cities because they know that their kids are going to have a safe and well-educated childhood. I think that we need to make the investment in our children so that we're making the investment in our city. As a taxpayer, nobody wants to pay more money. However, when Mayor Rossi decided not to run for re-election, I know that many folks around town from several factions among the political arena, as well as outside the political arena, went to Mayor Borer and said, Dorinda, please come and see what you can do to help us, see what you can do to help move us forward. Please clean up the beaches, please clean up the parks, please make our city safer. And she gave up a very well-respected job that she was very good at the state to come and do just that. And I think as taxpayers, it's our responsibility to support her in the mission that we asked her to complete and trust in her to do that job. Thank you.
First up on our list is Kristen
Sure. Kristen Malloy Scanlon, President of the West Haven Federation of Teachers and School Nurses, Local 1547, 77 Court Street. Good evening, Mayor Borer, Chairman Pascal, and City Council members. I stand before you tonight to thank Mayor Borer and the City Council for your investment in education last year. It was the first time in 7 years that we received an increase from the city, so thank you. We thank you. This year, the mayor strengthens that investment with a $1.8 million increase. Even though it's not what the Board of Ed requested from the city, it is an indication of promise and commitment. As you saw from the March Board of Ed presentation, the request pertains to increases in special education, bus transportation, and technology needs and costs. Without the $3.5 million, the Board of Ed still has an obligation to meet negotiated, agreed-upon contracts, cost increases, etc. Making up the deficit will most likely result in vacant positions remaining unfilled when educators, school nurses, and paraeducators retire or leave to work in a different school district. The Board of Ed may have to increase class sizes by reducing the number of classrooms, which ultimately means this: larger class sizes. Please understand, dissolving positions and increasing class sizes, it's difficult. Even though it will not result in layoffs, it will affect student services. It also affects my membership. Teachers and school nurses are already overworked and underpaid in West Haven. That's right, thank you. We have lost numerous teachers and school nurses to other districts because they are being paid more than educators who remain in West Haven. There are profound needs in our district that I think some of you might not be aware of. And I implore you to visit our schools, such as Pagels, Seth Haley, and Kerrigan, so you can witness firsthand the diverse needs, as well as the great teaching and learning that is going on throughout our entire district. Special needs, special education life skills, speech, social and emotional needs, navigating through the new landscape of AI, especially on the secondary levels, English as a second language for our many non-English speaking students, and the vital work of paraeducators from preschool all the way up to high school in the life skills rooms. The collective sum of all of these pieces requires your commitment and your support for Mayor Borer's budget. I hope the City Council will not reduce the mayor's proposed increase of an additional $1.8 million, because the West Haven school community is counting on you. But most importantly, the children of West Haven deserve an education with every possible learning opportunity that a well-funded budget provides. I am asking you to please continue to invest in education. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, for your comments. Next is Iris Diaz.
Honorable Mayor Borer and members of the City Council. Honorable Mayor Borer and members of the City Council, good evening. The City of West Haven Fire Department Allentown Fire Commission strongly endorses and supports the department proposed fiscal year 25, fiscal year 26 budget. We believe this financial plan demonstrates a clear commitment to our department's success and the community's well-being. We are particularly pleased with the substantial mill rate reduction and the effective use of ARPA and required grant funds to address critical infrastructure and operation needs. The effective acquisition and utilization of all the funding sources have further enabled the department administration to accomplish a significant increase in the overall fire and life safety protection of our constituency. I would like Chief Terenzio to mention a few of our noteworthy essential projects that have enhanced departmental effectiveness.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, esteemed members of the City Council, Mayor Bohr, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Westies. The West Haven Fire Department, Allentown, submits its operating proposed request designed to deliver exceptional fire and life safety services while being fiscally responsible. Our primary goals are to maintain the current high level of service to our community and to aggressively address unfunded pension and OPEB liabilities, which has plagued the city for so long. This budget achieves both those endeavors without diminishing public safety. The budget, with a modest increase, incorporates revenue from the Community Development Block Grant opportunity through the city to expend fire prevention and protection inspections, enhancing community safety. It also strategically tackles unfunded personnel costs to minimize future financial risks. The completion of FEMA and ARPA grant-funded projects recently has significantly enhanced our operation efficiency, allowing us to maintain service levels without increasing taxpayer burdens. These grants directly contribute to our ability to reduce the financial liabilities to run a well-run and effective fire and life safety protection system to protect all of you. The City of West Haven Fire Department, Allentown, and the Fire Commission are committed to continuous improvement and dedicated service to the city. We request you review and approval of this budget. I'd like to point out a few things as the Commissioner had mentioned. City of West Haven Fire Department, Allentown serves 3.2 square miles of Allentown community in the northern West Haven, providing comprehensive fire and life safety services. In 2004, the department responded to 2,180 emergency calls of service. 70% were EMS incidents at the ALS and BLS levels, and 30% were fire or other hazards. Within the fire-related calls, 41 involved structures were actually sustained fire where we performed extinguishing operations, and 27 involved other types of property. But as a city government division, its responsibilities include fire prevention, fire suppression, paramedic level EMS responses, public fire prevention education, and community risk reduction. This budget requests funds that above the core services and supports vital community programs, including smoke detector distribution to financially vulnerable residents, a free certified child passenger safety seat inspection and installation program, free of charge, targeted risk reduction for non-compliant basement and attic apartments funded through the Community Development Grant, year-round public fire prevention education for organizations and schools, the sponsorship of Boy Scouts of America Troop 821, which is an all-girls Boy Scout troop. It's unique in the area. I intend on using it for recruitment. CPR and first aid instruction upon request. The West Haven Fire Department, Allentown, through the collaboration of its administration and Board of Fire Commissioners, has developed a balanced budget proposal. This budget reflects our commitment to essential service levels for the community protection and fiscal responsibility. No budget is performed in a vacuum. It's a team effort. And I want to thank Mayor Bohr and the Finance Department and the Fire Commissioner for the work that we've all done together in presenting this budget, which I am proud of. And to the Commissioner's request, I have a list of things that have been accomplished through the grant acquisition, which has enabled us to put in a budget request that's a mere 0.5% higher for operations. As to ARPA, we utilize the ARPA funding allocation received for the acquisition of personal protective gear washers and dryers to keep within the recent state public act mandates, which requires our firefighters to clean their PP ensemble, their fire coats and pants, after every exposure to any kind of combustible or hazardous material. Currently, the department does not have this equipment. The equipment that we do utilize is with the other two districts, which would require us to have our on-duty crews leave the northernmost section of the city to go down either to the shore or the center, who graciously allow us to use that equipment. So it's kind of important that we have our own in our own facility. We also were able to fund a building annex addition to the Fairfax Street Station in Minor Park to provide indoor storage of ancillary and other support equipment and vehicles that were exposed to the elements and unsecured, which are currently sitting outside. Very expensive equipment that's becoming, its usefulness ages are being reduced because of exposure to the elements. Further ARPA funding was to improve our on-duty crew dormitory modifications to provide unisex deployment of both male and female sleeping quarters. Prior, it was an open ward with lockers that were not providing any kind of separation. The community development grant, prioritization of increased code compliance inspections of target hazards to meet state inspection mandates exemplified by the appointment of our recent Fire Marshal Keith Flood, solely focused on this important responsibility. The long overdue remodeling of the administration offices at 20 Admiral Street, which are over 20 years, to accommodate additional administrative staffing to increase effectiveness in fire prevention and inspection efforts. And continued efforts, which is part of my strategic plan, in paying down unfunded pension obligations as per my strategic plan, which is currently now in accordance with my last check with the finance director is at 47%. And hopefully this year it'll be a lot less. So I thank you all for giving this strong consideration. Thank you.
All of the above.
Yes, I just wanted to finish. Can you hear me? Yes. All of the above demonstrates significant enhancement to our ability to serve the community. I deeply appreciate the dedication of my fellow board fire commission members and Chief Terenzio leadership, and thank you, Mayor Boer, for your continued support, guidance, and leadership. Thank you, Commissioner Diaz, Chairwoman.
Thank you both very much. Next up is Kathleen Steinow. Kathleen, just your name and address.
Sure, Kathleen Steiner Buckeye, 56 Magnolia Avenue, West Shore District. Good evening, City Council and fellow residents and Westies. I'm here tonight to raise my support, to voice my support for this city budget because it is not only a forward-thinking plan, but a fiscally responsible one. At a time when our city was at a crossroads and a rather low point, the mayor and all of you stepped up to make our community a better place. You have all worked tirelessly in a sea of uncertainty, but you stay focused to ensure West Haven has achieved solid financial ground through balancing necessary investments with careful financial stewardship. Before I go any further, I want to address an issue that has understandably raised concerns, the recent property reevaluation. My home value went up, my neighbor's home value went up, and my mother's home value went up. This is a difficult jump, but an increase that has been caused not by irresponsible budgeting and management, but by a flawed market evaluation by the state-mandated reevaluation. In spite of the impact of this process, I do believe that through the hard work you have been doing this past year, you've been able to mitigate the financial impact to homeowners. Despite the challenges it posed, Mayor Boer has remained committed to guiding us through it in a way that minimizes the burden on taxpayers as much as possible. I shudder to think the impact of reevaluation if Mayor Boer and this City Council was not at the helm. Where would we be if we did not have all these great projects finally taking off? Millions for our beaches, new restaurants on the horizon, finally something at the conference center, new resources for our police and fire, and a new community center for our seniors and the children of the city, and many, many achievements that we read about every day. That is why this budget is so important. It is built on fiscal responsibility, smart investments, and long-term planning, and we are only going to build from here. The major economic development projects are happening because of the staff and processes that have been put in place. Any requests to make changes to the team that is delivering for us does not seem prudent for our future. Investments in our education system, including our teachers, paras, nurses, and staff, is another area I applaud. This demonstrates commitment to the education area, and as a resident in West Haven and a teacher in another community, I can tell you firsthand that investments in education at any city level is critical. Thank you. This budget is more than just numbers. It's about people, progress, and promise. It ensures that West Haven remains strong today while laying the groundwork for a brighter, more prosperous future. Mayor Borer is leading West Haven in the right direction, and this budget ensures we continue to move forward. I urge my own councilwoman and all of the council members to support the budget and to stay the course for a great city. Thank you.
It's 45 Hillside Avenue on North Shore. Hello, everyone. First, I want to thank the mayor, the city council, and the Board of Education members, because you have all stepped up to work hard every day to help the residents of our city. While some may not express their appreciation for the value you have brought to these roles, I want to assure you there are many of us that are very grateful for your work. I'm here tonight to address the budget before you and let you know that I believe this budget invests in all the areas that are critical to our community, specifically education, public safety, and community outreach. I understand that budgets can be tight and there are always competing priorities. However, the returns on investing in these areas are undeniable. Studies have shown that increased funding in education results in higher education and higher graduation rates, reduced dropout rates, and greater student achievement. Education is one of the reasons people chose to move to our community. Public safety is a critical value to all our residents, and investing in the appropriate number of staffing and resources is vital to the safety of our community, friends, and neighbors. It looks like last year the mayor added resources, and this year resources were added as well, and I applaud that. Community outreach has also been something that residents have been wanting and needing for a very long time. We finally have investments in this area and see more programs for our seniors, our veterans, and our youth. Cutting these types of programs will only negatively impact our community as a whole in the long run. The last thing we want to do is reverse course and cut back on these quality of life vital issues. We have a mayor that works to figure out how to give us better programs and services without having the expenses go up significantly. The real increase in the taxes doesn't seem to be in the regular operating budget, as I see nothing outrageous. In fact, it looks pretty responsible. I don't see any plans for reckless spending of the past. The increase, as we have learned, is really due to the reassessment of our home values. Higher than normal sales have impacted all of us. It is tough to fight this. If home values like my neighborhood went up by over 60%, there's not a chance you'll find 60% savings by cutting our services. Therefore, I'm asking our council members to try not to combat this outrageous market by now taking away areas important to us. You pledged to improve our quality of life, and again, I see that happening every day, and more importantly, my children see this happening. So while I know you will be looking for every penny, I just ask you not to be penny wise and pound foolish and start to cut back on the very things that are making our community better. Thank you again, and thank you, Mayor Borer, for your communication and your leadership. I'm in finance too, so I deal with budgets every day, so just so you kind of know background on me as well. Thank you.
Next up is Jane Celestine. Name and address, please.
James Celestine, 14 Crescent Place, West Haven.
Thank you.
Greetings, Mayor Borer. City Council, and residents. Thank you for your time and for your service to the community. I trust that this budget will continue to be worked on through collaboration of the city's council and mayor. I also trust that you are doing a responsible, thoughtful job in managing our city's finance and planning them for the future. I understand that the budget discussion, I understand that the budget decisions are never easy. You need to listen to the public and balance that what you know and many high-level state requirements. But I believe the budget before you is a step to the right direction as it reflects the balanced approach to invest in our city's future. The city's budget is not merely a financial document. It is a blueprint of our collective future. It reflects our priorities, our values, and our commitment to ensure that every dollar is spent wisely for the betterment of all. A responsible budget does more than balancing numbers. It balances lives. It ensures that essential services such as public safety, education, healthcare, infrastructure, and environment issues are adequately funded. It provides resources for those who need them most and foster opportunities for growth, innovation, and progress. Not only do I see this budget, but I have seen it throughout the entire year with all the successful announcements. The mayor has said no to wasteful spending and yes to investments that yield long-term benefits. By planning for the future, we protect our community from unforeseen economical challenges, ensuring that we can adapt and strive no matter what comes our way. That is why we need to stay the course with our official transparency, accountability, responsibility. Now is not the time to change course. I see all cities around us are tempted to use resources that are not realistic to balance their budgets. A reminder this is exactly what got us into this mess in the first place, irresponsible budgeting. I assure the developing and responsibility budget is challenging as you need collaboration, collectively experience, and the courage to confront both unpopular decisions for the long-term goals. I think the mayor has done that here from watching the progress of our council's actions. I believe you are committed as well. So let's work together as citizens to help provide input, feedback, and responsible recommendations. Don't nickel and dime little issues, and don't add much, but end up tying the mayor's hands with needs to look at the bigger picture together as a community. In closing, I urge each of you to do your work as legislators, but in general, let's support the mayor's budget, as I believe it is a good pathway for the future, and I have trust that the mayor will carry out this mission and goals as our city as she has demonstrated to us over and over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James, for your comments. Next up is Kathy Hebert.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hebert. I live at 166 Bloom Street. I'm also the president of Sandy Point Neighborhood Association, and I'm here to talk about the sewage treatment plant and the hardening of the pump stations. And I again thank Mayor Dorinda Boer and all of you for all of your work with the budget. I have attended several meetings of the Water Pollution Control Commission, and that's at the sewage treatment facility on First Avenue. And the meetings that I've been to, and I've been to them off and on over the years, I'm a 20-year resident, the meetings consistently show the various deficits and needs of the sewage treatment plant and the pumping stations. And I do know Mayor Dorinda Boer goes over there every Tuesday and works with the staff, but in attending the meetings and reading the paper, the last so many years, it's almost like Groundhog Day. We talk about the outfall pipe, we talk about the odor control, we talk about the sewage treatment that has to get trucked up to Naugatuck and the expense of it all. And I do see in the budget that there is money, finally, for many things that we have needed for many, many years. You know, currently West Haven is trucking their processed sewage material to Naugatuck, and this costs an enormous amount of money. And within approximately a year, the Naugatuck facility is going to reach capacity. And then West Haven's going to have to ship their treated sewage material out of state. And that is going to be at an outrageous cost. We don't even have a clue of how much that could be. And for years, West Haven has known about the need to fix the incinerator. And I see in this year's proposed budget that there are funds allocated for the repair of the incinerator under capital improvement, sewer plant, and capital improvement collection system. That's a mouthful. And I really approve of the budget. Of course, I would like more money because we need a whole lot more of money and things to be fixed. But I really approve of that part of the budget and recommend that the city council approves these funds, and then actually use the money to fix the incinerator and fix the building that the incinerator is in, because everything is just ready to crumble. And I do understand there are issues with incineration, air pollution, different things. I'm not an expert, and I know there's another potential way of treating our sewage. I just learned about a gasification. But basically, the study that was done in the last several years recommends the fixing of the incinerator and using it to process our sewage that the city produces. And I can't stress enough how much this is like a crisis waiting to happen. I live in the neighborhood, I'm across from the pump station, and I really am pleased to see that this is included in the budget. And the other thing is, in this process, as part of the neighborhood, both as a resident and as Sandy Point Neighborhood Association, I would like for the residents to be included in the talks about the process of fixing the incinerator and whatever else needs to be fixed, the outfall pipe, you know, all of the things that go along with the sewage treatment. But I'd like us to be included in that process early on so that we can have some input, because we're the people who live there and it will affect the entire city. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Next is Rich Huber.
Good evening, Mayor Boer and esteemed members of the City Council. My thunder's all been stolen, so I don't know what to say. But one of the things that in our conversations with other folks is...
Sorry, name and address, please.
Rich Hebert, 166 Bloom Street.
Thank you.
Okay, where was I? One of the things that has come up in conversations with other neighbors is that we feel we need more communication. We would like to have input, as Kathy had suggested early on different developments. So what happens is that a lot of times the plans are made and formulated and handed to us, and then they ask for public input when it's really a fact accomplished already. You've already made the decision, so we'd like to have more input early on. And on another topic, I would like to suggest that we bring back a person of contact. We used to have Fran Worthington in the city who would take calls, and on whatever issue you had a pothole or garbage didn't get picked up or something, and he would be able to track that down and get back to somebody. And I think that's part of what happens here. A lot of people come before the city council, we ask a lot of questions, and we present a lot of ideas, but we really don't get the feedback. If we had this person who would be a point of contact, he could take a problem, address it, direct us to the right person to talk to, or give us an answer. Because I think a lot of things got left in limbo, and it's a matter of communication. The right person can affect the change that has to happen. If you got a pothole in front of your street, who are we going to call? Because a lot of times it just goes into limbo. Well, what Fran Worthington used to do was he'd get back to people and tell them what the status of it was. If it's a problem that can't be fixed, at least you would know that it can't be fixed. However, he can direct you to the right person to get whatever that problem is fixed. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for your comments, Rich. Next is Donna Salsa. I apologize if I said your last name wrong.
Hey, kids.
Name and address.
This is Donna Raza, 47 Rockefeller. Good evening to Mayor Bohr, City Council, men and women, and ladies and gentlemen of West Haven. My name is Donna Raza. I live at 47 Rockefeller Avenue, and last year, my spouse and I decided to downsize from our old home and purchase something much, much smaller. We purchased the house knowing that our taxes are going to be approximately $7,200. And I love our house, and I think I have the best neighborhood there is. The reevaluation and the tax increase may cost us, depending on the fire budget, approximately another $250 a month. And that's something that we're going to struggle with, that size of an increase. Most of you know me, so you know that I don't sugarcoat things, and I never hide behind my words. I've been very vocal about the taxes, as well as the salaries and the city vehicles. I fully support cost of living increases, which is why I'm pleading with the city council to revisit each department in the budget and have previous budgets in front of you. This will provide you accurate figures as well as a scale to see the increases that were received over the years. If there's a department that has requested a wage increase, then consider possibly recommend removing it and having it drop to somewhere less than 5%. I don't think anybody in here is getting a 5% or more raise at their jobs. As time moved on from administration to administration, over my 20-plus years in West Haven, I've seen more and more city vehicles being utilized for positions that didn't always have them. So I'm not sure how many positions actually require a city vehicle and why they need to go home. I know people that are on call, and obviously the mayor, who's always on call, needs to have the vehicles with them. But they shouldn't be out used for personal uses. If it's not city work, then it shouldn't be in the city vehicles. This is going to reduce on the wear and tear and save on gas money. Right now, the world is unsettled with rising costs and not knowing who's going to wake up one morning, open up their email and see you've been fired because somebody hit a button. In closing, and with great respect, I ask you all to do the right thing for the residents of West Haven. If there's a possibility to phase in the increase that is needed to make our city operate properly, it would be appreciated if you could look into that. Look over the budget, as there were some items that I came across. On one page, it showed 18.42%, and on the second page, it showed 100% for the same item. The numbers just don't add up, and I also recommend that in the future, when you put a budget together, you have some historical data, because transparency is key, and not seeing that caused me to go back and look through many, many years of budgets. My not agreeing with the budget doesn't mean that I think anyone is doing a bad job, because I don't. I think that everyone's doing a great job, and I mean that sincerely. It only means that I have major concerns about the budget. And before I just say thank you for your time and wander or waddle back up that aisle, I will say that I applaud the city for getting a new IT department. As you all know, it's so easy to hack everyone these days. And we don't want all of our information just to get wiped away and to have our city held hostage for millions and millions of dollars. So I think that's a terrific investment. I do thank you for your time, and I really would love for you to find some more savings in the budget. Appreciate it. Thank you.